Motherhood can be an infinitely beautiful concept. It's an act of creation, of guidance and nurturing to take something so small and fragile and over the years turn that into a real person. It's the true core it's the true core of creating something from nothing. Yeast into bread, coal into a glittering diamond. Or that's what it can be. In horror, motherhood often doesn't get to live up to that ideal. Instead, we have films like Carrie and Hereditary, with monstrous mothers that set the tone of complete terror for every second they're on screen. But all in all, this is a concept that I found impossibly interesting lately. Mothers of horror, that is. There are just so many examples to pick from, though, so for this video I've narrowed it down to a couple: Black Swan and Rosemary's Baby. At first glance, both of these movies seem to fit that cliche of, oh no, my mom's crazy, or oh no, the baby's evil. But they actually both show a very interesting type of horror beyond that: how motherhood can become a prison, both for the mother or the child. Motherhood in the world isn't just the act of raising children as a woman, but it's been turned into a tool. Rosemary's Baby isn't scary just because the baby, or even because the baby at all. And Black Swan isn't scary just because the swan. These movies are scary because they show just how cruel the world can be to mothers and how that cycle carries on to their children. And before we get into all of that, I do plan to make a big genre analysis for this whole mother horror thing in fiction, like I did with that Haunting the Narrative video. But like I said, there's a lot of stories that fit into this, especially even just counting movies. So feel free to leave any recommendations in the comments. So please tell me what horror movies I should watch for this, or anything, books, TV shows, preferably not TV shows though, because I don't want to watch a whole TV show. But video games, anything. But anyways, this is a pretty recent interest of mine, and it all started with the Black Swan movie. So let's start there. From what I can tell, Nina's mother in Black Swan seems to be a pretty under-recognized aspect of Nina's story, especially in her ending. Other than the idea that her mother, a woman named Erica, is a predator, for lack of a better YouTube-appropriate term. I don't have any thoughts on that whole thing. That's not what I want to talk about today. I've already seen plenty of people talk about it, so... What I find the most intriguing about Erica and Nina's relationship is something else. Firstly, there's the fact that Erica herself was a dancer before Nina was born. In fact, Nina's the reason why she isn't anymore, because Erica gave it up when she became pregnant. Ballet, much like many other female-centered careers or beauty-focused careers, tends to let the floor give in underneath you when you start aging, or your body starts changing and all, or especially when you have kids. When all of these things happen to Erica, it's seen as a failure by her and later on her daughter. Nina even promises to not let herself end up the same way, like it's this horrible fate, and her mother actually encourages her not to. She protects Nina's dancing career almost more diligently than she protects Nina herself. This is mainly because Erica still has this insatiable hunger for perfection, but now, instead of satisfying it through dancing herself, she lives vicariously through Nina to satisfy that urge. Well, Nina and also Erica's paintings. Her paintings reflect this deep-seated fear of imperfection both of them have for Nina. Erica is not very good at painting at all. She spends hours doing it, so it's not for the lack of trying. And it's to the point where there's this entire wall in their apartment that's covered in paintings that she's making of just Nina. She's the only subject that Erica ever paints. And they're not very good. No offense, I'm not good at painting either. But they actually give off this really uncanny valley sensation. Erica has created almost like a shrine to this fear. All of these mediocre doppelgangers stare at Nina as she dances, as she eats, as she lives in her home. Any single moment, any mistake could be captured in one of these paintings, with the two puffy faces and the soulless eyes. And if Nina's not being captured in a painting, she's most definitely being reflected in a mirror instead. Mirrors are another repeating symbol of Erica and Nina's relationship, and therefore Nina's relationship with ballet. Not only is dance one of the few arts and sports that you constantly observe yourself partaking in while practicing, with mirrors all over the dance studio, but there's also the mirrors that are on every single wall of her apartment with her mother. Like, Ugh, it creeped me out. This only makes the place feel more claustrophobic somehow. From the small area in the living room where Nina stretches and practices her dance with the body length mirrors, and then the hallway covered in like all different sizes of mirrors across both walls. It's so creepy. And then there's also the mirrors in Nina's bedroom, and then all of the jump cuts in the movie between scenes of Erica and Nina together, facing each other, interacting with each other, rapidly switching to a frame of Nina staring at her own reflection. Even when Erica is not watching Nina, the mirrors are. Nina is watching herself. She spent her entire life in this environment. She's been perfectly trained to have her mother's same eye, her same fears. So this apartment serves as almost this panopticon-like prison for Nina. Erica doesn't even need to be present to have total control over Nina's behavior anymore, at least at the start of the movie. Then Nina gets chosen to be the Swan Queen, and Thomas, I don't know, Thomas, I'm an American, her dance instructor digs his own grip into her identity. Thomas and Erica have this very interesting second-degree relationship. It's this tug of war neither of them really know that they're participating in until it's way too late. Erica wants Nina to be this flawlessly innocent representation of perfection through total control, a white swan. And like the movie suggests, the white swan is a complete coward, just like Nina, who isn't allowed to grow up or assert herself under her mother's really suffocating guidance for the whole movie. And then on the other side of the rope, Thomas keeps incessantly pushing Nina to be this spontaneous, sexy, risky seductress. It reminds me a lot of the Madonna whore complex. The expectations that Erica and Thomas have aren't the only points where they differ. Their conflicting expectations also leak into how they treat Nina as well. Erica is this all-consuming, overprotective force that stifles Nina's entire identity, but Thomas is predatory, aggressive, like an animal about to pounce and then pouncing. There's no argument to be had about which one is worse, it's just that they work on the opposite sides of the same spectrum. Either Nina can be the perfect white swan her mother wants, or the daring black swan her mentor demands. In the dance studio, she's harassed and pushed to her limit, and then in her home, she's monitored and stripped bare, figuratively and literally. Nina has absolutely no privacy at home. Even outside of the mirrors and the wall of paintings, it's an unspoken fact that Erica is always watching her, watching over every aspect of her life. The only way Nina can even try to get a moment to herself is by physically barring her mother from entering the room that she's in, even when she's showering. This is because Nina doesn't have any control or boundaries either. Erica does whatever she wants, whether it's for her daughter or to her. Erica feeds her, dresses her, undresses her, buys her clothes, even tucks her into bed and watches her sleep. Nina's a grown woman. And anytime Nina tries to put boundaries in place to try and carve out a space for herself in her own home, Erica reacts so extremely that it scares her daughter off. She guilt trips Nina into eating a cake when she feels sick, or she physically drives her into the bathroom to look at the scratches on her back, topless. Nina has no power at home, so she doesn't even know where to begin asserting boundaries in any other area of her life. Her state during the entire movie serves as a direct reflection of how her mother treats her. Erica is stifling, controlling, and all-powerful, so Nina ends up impossibly passive and timid, not really knowing how to grab the bull by its horns like you are supposed to as the Black Swan. And, just like her mother, Nina is also completely obsessed with control and perfection. So the generational curse continues. Where Black Swan critiques the way mothers take their own tragedies out on their daughters, how they control their children as younger versions of themselves, Rosemary's Baby serves as a sort of prequel to this, almost. Now we don't see the after effects of a mother's trauma, but we see the cause of that control complex in the first place, or whatever trauma a mother goes through to act like Erica does. Mothers were not the ones who built the prisons their daughters live in. They grew up in it too. Rosemary's Baby shows that. Within the movie, motherhood is shown to be used as a tool of oppression, instead of an actual experience of childbearing or raising a child in any way as a woman. Rosemary's just treated as this incubation machine rather than a real mother or even a real human being. Just something to pop out the air that all of the people around her are waiting for. For those of y'all that don't know, basically the movie is about this woman who is drugged and manipulated into carrying Satan's child. It's a 1960s movie, so it's like very satanic panic. But this, ironically, probably purposefully, reminded me a lot of the story of the Virgin Mary herself, or just the underbelly of it. In the Bible, Mary starts out as this young, unmarried virgin that's soon to be wed to an older man that she was promised to, a man named Joseph. He finds out one day that Mary is pregnant and plans to quietly abandon her to avoid humiliation for both of them. However, before he does, he's instead approached by an angel who tells him that the fetus Mary is carrying is actually the Son of God and will bring the salvation of humanity and all of that Jesus does. Rosemary, on the other hand, may already be married to her husband by the time the movie starts, but she's still seen as this very young girl. Everyone else in the movie is older than her, and Rosemary's also dressed like so femininely that she looks like a doll most of the time. It's infantilizing. Or maybe it's just 60s fashion. I don't really know. I'm not a 60s girl. But her husband, Guy, is also the one that's approached about the fate of his wife's child. We don't even get to see it as the viewer, but we know that he ends up selling Rosemary's womb in exchange for fame, since he's just this actor who does cruddy ads and infomercials before all of it. Then Rosemary is impregnated in her sleep, again, for lack of a term that won't get me censored on this app, against her will, both because she's not conscious to consent and because she's used as a literal sacrifice with an unknown third party that she would not have been aware of. Oh my god. Oh, it stresses me out. It's also very similar to how Mary is just impregnated too in the Bible, and she's only told about this after the fact. No consent is ever asked. Which, to get off topic for a second, really surprised me. I went to Catholic school as a kid, and multiple of my teachers always stressed that God and the angel did ask her if she wanted to be the mother in God's plan for Jesus, and if she did want to bear his baby. But then I went through the Bible for this video, I forgot the acronyms, but I went through the National American Standard Bible and the main Catholic one, and no, they didn't. I don't know if my teachers just made it up or what. But either way, neither Mary nor Rosemary have any control over their lives during the pregnancies. Joseph, under the supposed command of angels, God and the Holy Spirit, just takes her from place to place to place until she gives birth, and Mary herself is never described to have any sort of opinion or feeling other than immense gratitude on this. And then Rosemary isn't even just controlled by her husband, but by the entire cult that lives in her apartment building, as well as the indoctrinated doctor that she sees. She's fed cake and milk with all sorts of these unknown supplements and herbs, and she's deprived of painkillers and proper prenatal vitamins. She's given this ritualistic jewelry to wear for protection, and anyone who points out how wrong any of this is promptly taken out of her life in one way or another. While Mary and Rosemary's respective stories operate as a purposeful dichotomy much of the time, this detail is intentionally kept as exact as possible, just updated for the 1960s. However, the contrast between them is also just as telling as the similarities. Mary is always depicted wearing light blue, white, and surrounded in a gold aura to show her clean of sin, her purity, and her humility. Rosemary also really enjoys wearing pastels, notably yellow. But during any scene that's related to the baby and the pregnancy in any big sort of way, she's wearing deep reds and black. After all, it's not the child of God that she's carrying, it's Satan's instead. The blood Rosemary will spill for him is shown months before she even knows it will happen. She doesn't know she'll be dragged from a hospital, forced to give a home birth with dozens of people watching, and hardly any proper medical care. Mary doesn't know she'll be forced to give birth in an inn's stable after being forced by her husband and some supposed higher power to travel for weeks after being denied a room at the actual inn. Jesus lays in a manger to be worshipped by strangers as Mary is freshly postpartum. She's never mentioned in any state besides total piousness while laying beside the cows and donkeys in the cold of night. Rosemary's baby is taken from her before she even gets the chance to see it. He's worshipped in a velvet black cradle in a secret room she has to fight to even find. After the initial shock of seeing a demonic offspring in that cradle, what supposedly came from her, she's completely ignored by everyone else in the room. They have Satan to thank for the fruit in the unnamed womb. They have offspring to worship. She just has a cradle to rock silently. This is how Rosemary's Baby ends, and this is how the Virgin Mary story begins. While the comparison between the two might not be intentional by Roman Polanski, the movie's director, and all around an awful man, even for 70s standards, I think Ira Levin, the woman who wrote Rosemary's Baby, the book, must have intended to draw similarities in one way or another. It's uncanny how similar it is. It's a perfect way to critique society's perception and treatment of motherhood by using maybe the most famous mother out there. Also, no disrespect to any Christians. But yeah, both the Virgin Mary and Rosemary are treated as nothing more than vessels to hold a more important, more notably male offspring, a coming of a deity. Neither woman has control over this situation. Neither has much knowledge about it at all. And as soon as they're both finished giving birth, they're cast aside. You could probably count on one hand the amount of lines Mary has after Jesus gives birth. In this sense, Levin shows motherhood as this labor process as a way to provide a product for the world. Once you are finished, you are no longer needed. You were not what was important anyways, it was just your womb and what it held. The value of a mother is held in one singular organ, in a 9-month span of denial, pain, and control, and the relief of its ending is paired with the despair of being shunned. Rosemary is not the only woman to go through this. Neither is the Virgin Mary. Other than reflecting the satanic panic that was a trademark of the later 20th century, the religious themes in Rosemary's Baby go to show that this is a systematic problem. It's not a singular toxic marriage or a singular doctor committing medical malpractice. It's an idolized pattern intentionally repeated to more women than anyone can count. Rosemary's Baby takes the concept of motherhood to a very demonic and horrifying light to show how the world has done the same. It's been bent into something else. This film and Black Swan ask the same question about this misshapen heap. What's the difference between a halo, a crown, or the handcuffs that they create? Between the two movies, there's a lot of details that they share and reflect off of each other. Both Nina and Rosemary are very clearly feminine, traditionally so, in their appearance and their life choices, and both have this femininity used against them to control them. Rosemary has her pregnancy, and Nina has her dancing career, and they both have their appearance. Nina's mother forces her to cover up, stay youthful, and Rosemary's husband repeatedly and openly berates her when she cuts her hair and changes it from the very doll-like, chic bob it was before. And oddly enough, both are controlled through their diet as well. Between both movies, there's only a single scene where one of them is not eating something someone else had made for them. It's only a few seconds to show Rosemary eating undercooked chicken. Everything else is fed to her by neighbors to control the outcome of the baby as much as possible, and everything Nina eats on screen is given to her by her mother to control her calorie intake as much as possible. Very little of this control is openly addressed by either woman. Neither really address the panopticon horror of it all, how they are constantly being watched by others before they're even fully aware of it. Rosemary has been watched by the cult since she moved in, and Nina has the surveillance of her mother on top of audiences and instructors and other dancers and herself. The source of this comes from the same place in each movie, and the topic that this entire video is about: motherhood. Rosemary is controlled with the shadows of what a mother is supposed to be, and what this cult wants their second coming's mother to be, an idol, and Nina is controlled by her very literal mother. And fittingly, both stories conclude in the same way as well. Nina and Rosemary both lose themselves completely to their expectations. Nina succumbs to her insanity and then her death in the name of perfection and adoration. And Rosemary resigns herself to caring for a child she did not ask for from a father she did not know. There's no true escape for either of them. Their value's already been reaped anyways. They've already brought to others what they were supposed to: a jaw-dropping performance, a delivering of a child. So they retreat into the husks they give in because they've already been beaten. Alternatively, though, the differences between the two films are just as telling as their similarities. For example, Rosemary's Baby is this theological or societal critique type of horror, shown in broad strokes. Black Swan works on a psychological level, on the other hand, showing this very detailed look on Nina, a singular individual, on a deeper level. Both are still oppressed by motherhood, like I said, but their endings are spurred on quite differently. Rosemary's doom is from her resignation, the rare yet fatal moments of her letting her guard drop with the doctor she's supposed to trust, and letting instinct hold the better of her to rest. She loses her one way out when this doctor she begs for help just turns her back to her husband. Meanwhile, it's actually Nina's desperation to escape from her mother's hold that dooms her to her fate. Erica lost the tug-of-war to Thomas. Nina ran away. Nina's much more isolated than Rosemary too, at least more obviously so. Really the only connection she has is her mother. I mean, sure, there's Lily and Thomas. Both of these relationships serve as these terrifying plunges into lives that Nina is very petrified of. She has no real support. She's just trapped away in that cramped apartment like a castle or like a lake. Rosemary, on the other hand, is isolated like any other cult member. She has plenty of contacts. Her doctor, her husband, her upstairs neighbor, but anyone outside of the approved social sphere is, like I said, removed. All of the social contacts in either girl's lives deprive them of agency, again, in one way or another. The expectations in each movie are just slightly different, too. Rosemary is expected to be a perfect mother, an emblem of an up-and-coming cult and their new figure to worship. But Nina is instead expected to be the perfect version of her mother, specifically. It's a very good example of the personal versus the political. Because for both, these expectations and the suppression that's forced onto them comes from a strive to be perfect. Mothers are meant to be watched, but not heard and not seen. You praise the fruit while the womb withers. The only way to even reap the benefits of that labor is when mothers and all the other women involved in a child-rearing process are completely obsolete themselves. They lose their own identities to melt into the role that they've been carved and bent into. But in the real world, there's no satanic babies or people turning into literal swans. Instead, women get the choice of being a quote-unquote career woman or a mother, but not both, not truly. You can be a laborer, or you can go through labor. Either way, you lose yourself to that role, whether that's standing beside a cradle or in the center of a stage.